might be delayed a little just because of the Wi-Fi.
That's quite 6, John.
Oh, that
According to
clock's
this,
slow.
it's
slow. Okay,
Yeah,
6
it's
o'clock.
exactly 6.
Okay. I can't see. Didn't you?
I'm good here.
That's too late.
It's the election.
Yes.
Tell me when you're ready.
David Harris, right, Jenna?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I did anything.
I think we're gonna, we'll take attendance here. Ron? Here. Gene?
Here.
Karen?
Here.
Marilyn?
Here.
Kate? Here. Rosemary?
Here.
John? Here. And John. Next thing is the overview of the agenda. We are gonna add the PVC report because that was inadvertently left off, and that should be part of every meeting. And we left off the opening joke. So we'll start with that. There was this elderly woman who got caught shoplifting. It's a good joke for the senior center. So it's an elderly woman who got caught shoplifting. And she's standing there in front of the judge and she's looking up at the bench and he's looking down at her and her in the paperwork. And he says, I see you got caught shoplifting. He says, what did you take? She said, well, I took a can of peaches. He says, how many peaches were in the can? He says, 6, Your Honor. So he says, well, to teach you a lesson, I'm going to sentence you to 6 days in jail. All of a sudden, this male voice at the end, way in the back of the courtroom says, Your Honor, that's my wife up there. Could I say something on this matter? Judge says, well, it's really not really protocol, but go ahead. What do you have to say? So the husband says, well, you know, she also took a can of peas. Yeah, he's got a good joke for a senior center. Okay, so the next thing is the approval of the minutes. Do we have, any questions? Go ahead, Marilyn.
Quite a few. I don't think I'll go through them all. Not big one. I appreciate that you thought you did the AI transcripting. You didn't have it and it was the last minute. But there are gaps on virtually anything that a decision was made. The details of John made a motion and someone seconded it and 7 people are missing. We should put it in there for the record. There are other places.
The attendance is at the top.
But that doesn't tell you who voted, that we actually had a motion and what it said and the wording of the motion. It's just protocol. And again, I appreciate you weren't presented with what you expected and you had a short window. But I'd ask that we go back and tighten them up. Also, some of the discussion, like when we got discussing the orientation packet, there's mention about issues with the links, which did come up, but the conclusion of the discussion was that the links were all working. It's just that they'll only work when it's posted. So kind of the punchline got lost. It's details. So if you just read the minutes, it's somewhat misleading in places. So I would ask that we fill in those gaps.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, on the discussion of the packet, the orientation packet, it mentions that we discussed things like
The links.
The links. Right, but the links actually, Karen went on to clarify that the links actually are fine. It's just that within the PDF, some of them are not active, but when it's posted on the website, they will be. So there's no action required on that. It's little things like that. If you want, I could talk you through some of it. I didn't write it all out. It's just, they're minor gaps and I understand your situation. It's just things like that become the record and someone saying, why didn't the links get fixed? And like, well, there weren't any problem, you know.
I just used AI.
I understand what you did, I know. So anyway, I would ask that we tighten up the minutes before we vote and accept them. So maybe next meeting we'll have it amended and revisited.
Do you have anything else? So what are you doing? Making a motion to,
I'm making a motion to kick the can down to next month because there's information that's missing and needs to be added. And I don't have it all. I didn't go through it in detail. I just, in noticing that things jumped out at me, they knew were missing and I looked them up and it confirmed they were missing. And I gather there are probably some more as well.
I don't hear a second.
I second.
Okay, just a second. So, all in favor of the motion? Yeah, raise your hand, but we don't have anybody on the screen. with it.
No, we don't.
So that's 4 in favor, so 5 in favor, so
No one else.
passes.
5 doesn't do it. We need 6.
Um,
6.
I was gonna abstain.
Oh, that's right. The new rules. It's a smaller majority.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you.
I should mention before we go any further, besides the people that we had for attendance, we've got Jenna on screen, Nora Bucko is also on Zoom, Janet DeBow, volunteer coordinator for the town, and Nancy's in like, there's a place for public comment, I guess you're the public.
No comment.
That's quick.
And the discussion for vote.
Pardon me?
Discussion for vote for secretary.
Yeah, no, I see that. I understand Ron has decided to run for secretary.
Yes.
Do we have anybody else who wants their name on the ballot? Seeing none. All in favor, raise their hands. Anybody opposed? You didn't put your hand up, Ron. Oh, so it's official. Ron is the secretary. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next thing on the agenda is a public comment. What does public have to say?
Doing a great job.
Is that it? Well, okay, so why don't we go to the PVC report to insert that in this part of the agenda. So Ron, you can give that report, please?
Should be pretty quick. So we met on Wednesday 6th. And, one of the things we talked about is the state of the project. Construction officially started on the 17th of March. And it's a 499-day timeline for substantial completion of the project. So that puts the substantial completion date at July 9th. And we are looking at a soft opening. September 3rd is the day that I see, so, of 2028. So that is on target. Right now, we're actually putting in the concrete foundation this week. So so it's already started. The trees have already been cleared, the ground has already been leveled, and we're laying the concrete this week. There are also the structural steel and wood framing and the concrete slabs are next in the next 2 to 3 months. So, one thing I did want to provide a brief update on where things stand regarding our conversations about meeting space. As you know, last time we met, we talked about the need to support small programs and looking for different meeting space alternatives. At the heart of the discussion was that Council on Aging clearly expressed the goal of creating more small program space to better serve our 60+ community. And one of the options that was proposed to accomplish that was the divider. That was one way to address the need, but it's not the only possible solution. So over the past several weeks, I've had positive and instructive conversations with town staff and PVC chair focused on how best to address this underlying need. I think we all agree that's an important need. The question is how best to achieve that. So as part of those discussions, I asked that we temporarily pause the divider conversation, not to take the idea off the table, but to create space to explore whether there are other practical ways to solve the problem. And I know that one understandable question that you might have is if the project is currently tracking $2.5 million under budget, why not simply move forward with the divider? That's a fair question, but construction projects are a bit like home renovations. Just because things look favorable at one point doesn't mean that every dollar difference is automatically available for additions. Put this in terms of a football game. If this project were a football game, it'd be in the middle of the first quarter. and maybe we're up 7-0. That doesn't mean that we have 7 points to give away to the other team. That just means we're in a good position right now. So it's not just as easily as saying, let's take whatever it costs for the divider from our savings and spend it now, because there are some strong economic headwinds with gasoline prices, oil prices. So the town and the PBC have been trying very hard to, and doing a good job of effectively managing the budget to try to keep costs down. So, rather than focus on one specific solution, I feel the more productive path is to stay focused on solving the underlying problem. What can we do to provide small program space, make sure that there's adequate space for these programs? And, last time we met, we talked about some possible solutions that the town seemed favorable to. One of those was the rec conference room. The other one was the maker space. And also, we talked about the game room. I know that there was some pushback and some discussion about that. I think we saw that there might be some value to having some programs meet there. But it's a little bit more complicated than saying, one way or the other, how that space is going to be used on a consistent basis. So I just wanted to share that those conversations with the town and the permanent building committee have been producing movement, and they've been very productive. Last night, the chair, Pat Tompkins, reached out to me to let me know that the town staff has been actively developing alternative solutions, options to propose, including possible makerspace concepts. And those additional details, including the rationale and trade-offs, are going to be forthcoming from the town. So I look forward to reviewing those and sharing those with the council at a later date. But I see that as a positive step. My focus remains the same, advocating for practical, fiscally responsible solutions that address our goal of creating small program space for the 60+ community. So that's my update there.
I do. Thank you for all that input, but I have hesitancy to say, I still think we should look into a divider, because I think small space going forward might not be necessarily right now. There could be more new programs added with smaller space. I think a divider is important. I am not for using other rooms that have already been designated for a purpose, because then we're still doing what we're doing here right now. We're not getting the space. We're losing space, actually, if we constantly put in and use a program. If it's for a game room, put a different class in there. I absolutely think we should do that periodically, but not considering that going forward when doing programs. I think we definitely should do a divider. If we cannot do the full divider, then we just put the mechanics in for right now, and then go forward in a year or two and then buy the actual divider, the floor model. Or you take and research other dividers that are not that expensive. I just feel very strongly that if we start utilizing rooms that have been designated for a sole purpose and use it for another purpose, we're losing space as the senior center. That is just my thought on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
My concern is that this isn't really, money matters, design matters, all those things absolutely matter. But the priority is making sure we're better serving seniors. And the question for having a divider in the first place was to take a space, 1,000 square feet, that can only generate whatever revenue is associated with the activity in that room. And we don't have right now small room spaces for smaller activities, which I suspect, I don't have the data, I'm not gonna ask for data at the end of my rant, is that I suspect that's a very common characteristic of programs that are popular among seniors. And if we're making them use 1,000 square feet, we're running something that's not gonna generate the revenue that room has the capability to produce. And we're not gonna run 2 programs instead of just 1, which we could with a divider. So when you think about what we're providing to the seniors, it's added value to have 2 rooms instead of 1. To know this well, I think what we really need, and we've asked for, but it hasn't happened yet, but I trust we'll see it soon, because we heard we would see it soon, is some hypothetical scheduling of how is this really going to look? Are we really going to see double programming for seniors, which was promised to us at the town meeting?
Have already fixtures in it or a setup of furnitures that those participants that need devices to walk or accommodate their stability, they just going into a room that has been set up for a program. And I think that's important, not just for seniors, but for the community in general.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the select board update.
We didn't get to kitchen and windows.
Yes,
He's moving on, you didn't do kitchen windows yet.
I don't have a kitchen and windows update.
It's part of what's gonna be on the agenda.
It's
next
on the
month.
agenda for next month, but I'm only speaking to the update from the last meeting.
From the last meeting, it was announced that at the next meeting, they will put on the agenda the kitchen, which is something that needs to be explained, and the windows, which needs to be explained. I can explain it if you want the kitchen. The kitchen. I, as an individual, sent letters to both the PBC and to the select board, pointing out that a study that was done by the PBC raised serious question as to whether the kitchen can be used for leasing, and even whether it can be used for something like serving a large lunch, because volunteers are not allowed to use it under what that report says, under the choice that was made. And the choice involved not making the building ADA compatible with the requirements for public use. And so I sent the PBC and the select board a list of questions specifying, will we be able to lease it? Will we be able to use volunteers? It was 5 questions. And I was assured that the PBC would respond, and I raised my hand again and said, just a friendly reminder, haven't heard from you. And it's been several months. And so they have promised to put it on next month's agenda for discussion. There also is an issue about window placement up around the track, which was not my idea, but I understood it, but I'll probably misrepresent it if I try to. But there's a question about optimal placement of windows around the walking track. So I just wanted people to be aware, this potentially has a big the kitchen has a potentially big impact on leasing, which is revenue, which was part of the, leasing out the multipurpose room for function space, which even could have included wedding receptions, to quote Mark Doxer. And unless those are going to be brown bag wedding receptions, I don't think it's going to work right now from what the consultants are telling us. And it affects construction as well as operations, because there are ADA compliance issues that would need to be resolved in the construction in order to make it truly a public kitchen. So I just wanted people to be aware. I will be there. There's many people who care about it that come. I think it would be important to be heard at the discussion.
I do want to add that Permanent Building Committee did take a vote on the windows a couple meetings ago by a vote of 7-1. They voted down the.
But they put it on the agenda for the next
I think
meeting
it's,
again.
yeah.
And they put it on the agenda that they will discuss the kitchen at the next one.
Okay. Select board update is.
I'm happy to be here. I also did attend the permanent building committee and, you know, I spent 2 years on the Killam School Building Committee and also spent time in the library building committee. I'm concerned. I understand the building committee and those strong professionals who made decisions and everybody agreed with it based on fears that the budget was going to go way over, and I appreciate those decisions. I'm concerned though now that we got great news on the budget and we are nowhere near going to contingencies. And I don't disagree with this group bringing those back forward for another decision-making process. Now that we know we are not going to overspend what town meeting approved. So, you know, I appreciate that Marilyn and Ron bringing this up. And one of the things that strikes me is that there's only one council on aging voice on this special member on this committee, and the Killam School Building Committee, for instance, has 2 members, you know, plus the staff is participating. You know, one thing that might be of interest is to have somebody from the Senior Plus committee sign up to be an associate member for the permanent building committee. It's a non-voting member, but it could make you feel more part of the process. And I've also asked staff to please reconsider this operations group that has very dedicated volunteers involved, neither of which who regularly visit the senior center. That is, and as a select board member, I shouldn't be hearing week after week after week, or we're not being heard, that we're spending too much money to solve this problem. So I think this is great conversation. I think we're all a community. We gotta keep talking about this, and I will continue to do that. I believe that Sal Bramante may be the new second senior liaison, but I've said I'd like to continue. This is a once in a generation building. And I've seen how the divided room in the library works, and I've said this at the permanent building committee. It's divided all the time. So this divider, which yeah, it's more expensive now because it wasn't designed in to begin with, but that doesn't mean we throw the whole idea out because we now actually have the money to afford it and not go over our budget. So that's my personal stance on this, that we continue to talk to the permanent building committee and staff about figuring out how to solve this divider problem. I'm also very interested in this kitchen concern. I've been in there as a volunteer. I see volunteers in there. I belong to a club that wasn't ADA compliant, and people don't attend those functions, and you can't bring in a catering company if you can't provide certain. So, yeah, no disrespect to the permanent building committee. Very, very strong, talented building professionals. But what, in my opinion, what we're seeing is not enough voice and advocacy. You all are living this. You know how the center operates. The members of the building committee don't. The 2 members on the operational task force don't. And that really concerns me. So, any other updates, just to not belabor. I appreciate the hard work you do. I've been to the new recal. I would strongly encourage you. I don't think this group has been there yet. I'd be willing to go again. It would be good for a field trip to see, and there is a member of the permanent building committee who is on the design team, I think, for the new recal. It would be so inspiring for everybody to take a ride down there and see that now it's in action and see how this, you know, adult focused center works and how it's set up. And yeah, as I said, I'd be happy to go see that again. It has the walking track, and everybody was playing pickleball the day I was there, and then people were walking on the walking track. It's funny, I don't remember the windows, but I understand the building committees, the permanent building committees, you know, pausing to say, well, you don't really want windows down where balls can break windows, but when you're up on a walking track, it's good to be able to see outside. It makes it much more enjoyable. That gymnasium, that walking track are fabulous. And then, of course, they have the different sites. It's not a perfect one-to-one what we're trying to do here, but a lot of the spaces that you guys have designed in that are not necessarily dedicated to seniors, actually work for both populations and work for our community at large so well. I'm so excited about this project and we need to make sure your voices are heard. We are fully authorized to spend what town meeting authorized. We are nowhere near the contingency limit. We have the happy news that it's coming in lower. I'm sure the permanent building committee doesn't want to take another vote, but there's no reason not to take another vote now that we know we're not budget busting by asking for these things. And we barely put a shovel in the ground. We've chopped down some trees, so it will cost less now than it will later, that's for sure. So, if there's anything specific, John, you want to know, please let me know.
Does anybody have any questions for Karen? I guess we're ready to move on. Karen, you're up.
So we're gonna talk about the elder services report. So this was our first full month using the new system. So I just want to explain my stats. So most of the stats are from my senior center. And all the exercise stats are from Rec Technologies. So I toggled between both. So that's why when you see underneath the chart where it says health, wellness, and fitness, there's a dip in numbers, and that's solely because most people, except for two classes, I think the first week of April, had to register for a session by paying in Rec Technologies. So, with that said, the average attendance is pretty on. So one of the things we're running into is that a lot of the teachers are determining. Oh, there we go.
She got it off quicker this time.
Yeah, that was Jenna.
That was Jenna, she's on.
So
Should have kicked them out to begin with. I didn't recognize the name, but
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
So anyway, one of the things we're running into is that the teacher's determining the amount of students he or she wants in a class. So if the teacher says they want 10 people, or the class is going to be canceled, but we only have 7 registered, we're now having to get in a position where we have to call the teacher and say, you really want to cancel this, or do you want to go forward?
We've always lost 3 classes
Right.
because of the payment system and the teachers, and it's not the money, it's how it's collected. I think that's gotta be looked into.
Yeah.
We have people going, they used to go here, are going to Stoughton now, and they're willing to pay over there. You had someone who was teaching a class here, was in a church, a local church, teaching it there, getting paid for it. The payment systems are working.
I mean, I think what people don't understand is that we don't have the money to pay for the teachers. So the people are paying the teachers, and the teachers are determining what the cost is that they want to come here for.
But maybe if you had, like some places like tickets where you buy
Right.
the book and you can just for any one of these classes.
And we're looking
Even
at,
though it gets punched,
yeah,
well, you're gonna buy it. I don't think people like the idea of that if you spend $20 for, maybe it's a lot of money for some people, $20 a month. And if you miss 1 or 2, you have to have a doctor's receipt. People don't want to show their health information either.
right.
So there's gotta be some changes, some flexibility. There's gotta be something in there.
And all of this is a work in progress, and we're obviously trying out all different kinds of things, but right now, in order to build up a baseline of money, we have to charge.
Well, I say we should charge, no
Yeah.
doubt about that, but
Yeah,
it's how we charge is my question.
well, I mean, I don't know how to speak to it because it's all new for all of us, that we're doing the best we can with the little money we have right now. So we're trying to make ends meet by paying the teachers and not lose any more instructors. But the instructors that left had a maximum amount of attendance that they wanted. and they wouldn't conduct a class for less.
Yeah, and for Zumba too, Carrie, she didn't even want to go through the process.
Right.
So that was her decision to just not go with the new platform and continue with us. So really the only fitness program that didn't run was line dancing. And line dancing had low enrollment to begin with. She was averaging about 7 people a class. And she wanted 10 as a minimum, which, wasn't realistic. So with all things considered, all of the other classes are running. So I think that's a good step.
Gee,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't notice we had
I didn't
that.
know if Carrie's done before I want, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, I can keep going if you want.
But
I just need clarification. So the budget, we do have a budget with funds in it, or we don't right now?
Not for this year. We spent the program budget for this year.
Ending when?
July 1.
And then we start with a, okay. So this is for the next, we're gonna say May, June, month and a half.
Right.
So going forward, if we were to get an instructor that comes in or someone to teach a class, and they were to come in and say, well, I will charge 150 for this particular class, 12 students, and only 6 show up. Does she still get that 150?
No.
But how, see, that is, we're gonna be losing instructors. Because if we have a budget of $1,000 and we can guarantee 10 instructors $100, regardless how many students come in, that is still 10 programs that are gonna take place. So are we working on that kind of a budget? If we keep on working on a class that, well, we're not sure if we're gonna take place, people still have calendars. I mean, they might be in their 60s and 80s, but they still have a calendar to keep. And if they want to commit to a class and it's canceled, that's not fair. So I can understand why a lot of participants are upset.
so I have a couple. Sure. So John just said something about 3 classes were canceled. Is that true?
2.
2.
Janice said 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I've heard different things when I'm over here, and so that's why I wanted to ask you, how many classes were actually? I guess what I'm asking, how many classes left that are no longer being
One
offered here?
instructor held 2 classes, so we lost Zumba, and that was twice a week, so I think that's where the confusion is. So that's 2, it's technically
Zumba, senior fit, line.
senior fit and Zumba are the same thing.
Okay.
They're the same, the
so
exact same
two-
class.
2 classes.
Yes.
basically.
She just held it twice a week, same
Yeah.
instructor.
I have another question that I was curious about. I don't think it was ever said here. I think I heard it at some other meeting in sort of a throwaway line, but one of the other changes you were thinking of making in terms of policy was that instructors were gonna have to begin to carry their own liability insurance, which seemed to be, when I heard that, a change from the past. Has that policy changed as well, that instructors now carry their own insurance?
Jenna, you know the answer to that, right?
Yep, so all the fitness instructors are required to carry their own insurance. And they
So
have
all of them.
provided it. I haven't had an issue. If there's like an art class or something like that, that's a little bit, it's not a physical fitness thing, then they can sign an
right.
indemnification with the town and won't have to provide that insurance. But yep, they do.
Okay. And then one question on your stat sheet. So I think I know what this means, but like, under health, wellness and fit and lunch, you have the initials MSC. I'm assuming that's to know, what is it?
It's my senior center.
Oh, that's where the numbers came
Yes,
from.
yeah.
Okay, so the others are all coming out of the other
There,
system.
no,
Okay, like this.
all of the numbers in the chart are from my senior center.
Oh,
Sorry for the confusion on that. But I wanted you to see that the dip in numbers for the March to April was because the classes weren't in my senior center, they were through Rec Tech, so that I had to go into Rec Tech and recount the amount of attendees in each class through Rec Technologies. Which is all written out on the bottom there, so like, the average group of best is between 24 and 28 people for the 4-week session.
well, and that takes me to my other question I had, or observation. That is, that there seems to be going back over. I took a look at the last 3 months, March, April, May, and I took a look back at 2 months back in the fall. We seem to be seeing a somewhat steady decline, not significant, but about 10%, both in numbers, so underpaid attendees. But the place where I'm really worried is there also seems to be about a 10% decline in programs. Now, you just said that there's, well, no, I'm not sure. You said we're out of program budget, but then you said, I'm not sure. My question was, so the other concern I have, not only is there a decline in the number of programs, but I'm looking at the March calendar. And there's literally only 5 afternoons in the whole month of May where something is happening in this room after the whole afternoon. And I'm trying to figure out what happened to the programs. I mean, we're seeing a slow decline. Well, I understand Zumba was in here,
Yeah.
but going
Twice a week.
forward, there's an overall decline in programs wherever they're taking place. And in particular, this space is underused. Now we're moving into a new building with an enormous amount of space.
Right.
And if we're starting to see unused space and a decline in numbers here, this is not, for me, an encouraging sign looking at the future. And I was looking at the presentation that was given to the select board a couple months ago, you know, and again, this wasn't explained at all, so I'm just quoting. Recal represents an opportunity for a 229% increase in program hours versus Pleasant Street. Well, if we can't fill Pleasant Street now, how are we gonna fill Recal? Are we just in a dip right now, and whatever is coming down the road for, what month are we in? June and July and August, we're gonna see it going back up? That's kind of my question.
I would hope so. I think the dip we're seeing now is a little bit of a revolt potentially from people not wanting to pay after having free classes for 2+ years. The numbers, the classes though are doing okay. I think what's unfair is that we lost Kelly like at the end of the year, and this room would have been, Anna's books out pretty far in advance. This room would have been stacked with programming, whether it be people in the community doing things for free or anything that we could fit in with cost. So I think that having the space now open with no money is challenging to fill on short notice. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't have a lot in programming left to then just book like these amazing things going forward, but starting in July, Anna and I have a whole new budget starting and we'll be able to program out.
But that brings me to my second point,
Yeah.
because somebody stood up at town meeting the other week and said essentially the same thing, that Elder and Human Services has run out of money. But we had a meeting in March and we had a meeting in April, and we've had no request for money. And we have money, but you haven't asked for any money.
In the trust funds, I would think.
Right.
Right.
Right,
Let's
so
ask for
if there's if
program
part of the
that we want.
programming problem is that you don't have funding, then where's the funding request? I mean, and I'm just trying to understand where we're at right now, because I get we're at the end of a budget year, and that's why I wanted to talk, to get a sense from you about what you're saying about budget. But that's also one of the questions I have, because, okay, if you ran out of money, and that's been part of what's affected the number of programs in the last couple of months, why haven't we heard a funding request? So I'm just really curious, and I'm really concerned about what's happening in the program, because as Marilyn said, we got a new building coming and a promise that we're gonna be doing better, and we haven't seen anything that suggests that to us, so.
Carrie,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sense of the numbers. How many people paying customers have we had sign up?
I think it was. We've had 872 transactions, which makes me think. So there's 379 users, so there's, I think 872 people have paid. I think those 379, is that right, Jenna? The 379 people have paid 872 times for fitness
I don't think
classes?
so, because the transactions would be the total amount of I think that's the transactions for just this month too, by the way.
Right, just this, just the
yeah.
month.
So I think those include all the transactions, paid or unpaid, but we can certainly go in and tell you how many people paid in the new system. I just don't have that number off the top of my head. And Kate, I think that's a fair question that you bring up for sure about asking the Council on Aging for money. I think that the programs that we have are already programmed out till the end of the year and taken care of from a budgetary standpoint and all of that. And I think Carrie's point was, given the fact that Kelly left and so abruptly, we couldn't fill the room with these activities that people were going to sign up for right away and find an instructor to come in. We've been calling people for Zumba. I've been calling people to find a new Zumba teacher to come and do some classes. Carrie has, Anna has. So the programming piece, like she said, happens so far in advance. So, when Kelly abruptly left and she didn't give us much notice at all, to be honest, that was a big hit. But Anna has done a tremendous job of getting some new programs into the center as well in the afternoon. So we're doing the best we can, and I think Carrie has a great plan moving forward.
I just wanted to add, but for planning, there are, so May, because Kelly and I completed April and so May, but there are, Anna, as this room fills, starting at the end of May and June and July with programming, filling those times.
Great.
So it is coming. You just saw a dip in May because of an abrupt exit.
Yeah.
But those things were, she has 2 different programs planned. There's the light binder, then there's 2 other healthy series coming that she has planned to fill this room in those times. So you will see them. It's just unfortunately, when someone gives you a week notice.
Thinking about the people who attend here, we have out of towners and we have out of town would be a lot like being charged an extra $1. A lot of people have dropped out come here. People who live in Reading and who come here, do not like to pay for something they can't attend, whether it's they have doctor visits or they're vacationing. They want to pay for the classes they're going to come to and not lose out money by paying for a whole month and they have to come up for doctor's note. The trust funds are here. I'll request that we get money so they're not so tight on a budget and so stressed out. We have them, we should use them while you need them. That's it right now.
2 things, echoing program budget, please ask us for trust fund things, if the money's there to be used. Well, I just don't understand, I thought, and obviously I'm wrong, I thought that people were being asked to prepay for a whole 4 weeks if it was a 4 week. So the money, why is the money not there for the anticipated number of students? Because you were going to cancel it if you didn't meet the required number of students. So something's not connecting in my brain.
I'm not sure I understand.
So if 10 people, if it was decided you needed 10 people to run the course, 10 people signed up, they paid. and then only 6 actually show up. Is the instructor not getting the money for the 10? Because they.
Well, that hasn't happened, that hypothetical hasn't happened yet. Most every time people have paid, they've come, unless they've been
Okay.
ill.
So with instructors are finding they're not getting as many as were expected, and saying it's not worth it.
Well,
to
like-
me. How does that happen? Are they just
Seven,
reaffirming that we agreed that we had to have this many signed up or the class gets canceled, in which case it's canceled, not reduced?
We're trying not to cancel.
Okay.
The goal is not to cancel.
Okay.
Like we
That's good.
have an art program coming up. Is it next week? Art is, and she wanted 10 minimum. And we had 7 people enrolled. This is just an example. We had 7 people registered to take this art class. And me and Jenna talked about it and Anna talked about it. Like, we don't want to cancel a class. That's 7 people is a lot of people to just call and cancel for an art class. So we looked at the budget, reviewed the revolving fund, and determined we could pay the $60 extra to run the class so that the class can continue. We wouldn't have to abandon this art class because we didn't get enough participants.
Okay.
So the teacher was grateful, but she still wanted 10 participants.
Right. And one of the other things too is in the revolving fund now, we're able to move the rentals into the revolving fund now, which is tremendous. So we got a few rentals come in. So that's where some of the offset can be used for now. So you take the rentals into the revolving fund and that can help you with your programming deficits. But again, we need to, build the fund up and get going with it. So that's just another thing to mention as well.
And again, I just really encourage, more detail on talking about with real nuts and bolts, what you might need and whether there's an opportunity to use trust funds or not. I think we were really just lacking in information before, as you were too. It was early, but you're getting into it now.
He had her hand up, so.
I didn't finish.
So I need clarification. So the past year, we've had a small budget, whatever the dollar amount was. But am I correct, majority of the programming was paid through the opera funds?
Yes.
Am I right on that? So I don't understand, how can we be short if we had 2 different revenue buckets to pull from? Were we paying too much for certain classes, or do you think this new registration process has taken away?
I don't think the registration process is taken away. I think things cost a lot of money, and I'm not sure how closely it was being looked at,
Okay.
as far as with opera mixed in with the regular
That's-
budget.
That's what I was.
So me and Anna are meeting this week to project. So we're figuring on, just so you know where I'm coming from, on average, we can spend about $1,000 a month on programming with our budget that we have. So my goal is to determine, what are we gonna spend the money on? What are we gonna ask you guys for money for? What can we ask what can Friends of 60 Plus sponsor? So we're looking at all different areas, and we wanna kind of have, like me and Anna talked today about having like a health program once a month, a learning program once a month, and something an art thing, and then we have to budget and determine where we want to put the big money. So like Ted Reinstein is coming in the fall again, and he's expensive. So that month, that money might go to that, and we might do something a little less in the arts that month or something. Do you know what I mean? So we have to plan out. So my goal is to have Anna come in and we're going to talk about programming and then bring to you what we want, money, starting in July.
Can I do my last bullet? My last.
Ask a clarifying question. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Well, in that sentence, when you just use the word programming, are those non-exercise programming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to know.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank
My
you.
last bullet is, my understanding is both line dancing classes got canceled. That's 2 different teachers.
It's only one.
There was the evening and there
It's
was.
the same teacher.
Didn't used to be.
Yeah, it's the same teacher.
They-
Woman teacher.
At night?
Yes.
She said she wasn't, all right. Okay, so but night and daytime are now both gone.
Yeah, she wouldn't commit to nighttime because she has a child.
No, I know.
Yeah, so,
All right, thank you.
And so there's more to your report than just that part. The trust fund reports.
we want to talk. So again, I don't know the exact amount, and I don't think my goal is to not ask for an exorbitant amount of money going forward for programming. I don't think the money I'd ask in a year would ever exceed more than $10,000 ever. Like that's a leap, a big leap. There's no trust fund report in here. It's just about me asking for money from the trust fund. Like, I don't think it would ever exceed the maximum of what we could expend if we needed to.
And you're saying for the rest of fiscal year
26,
year old.
right,
So
yes.
starting in
27,
July.
yes.
But you need money now.
No,
Not now.
no.
You don't need money now?
July 1, we're gonna start looking, so
Fiscal year.
we don't want to spend a lot of money in summer programming when people travel, and we do see a dip in numbers in the summer just because people are on vacations, and this place sometimes can be a little bit of a ghost town in the summer, and we don't want to spend a lot of money on programming if people aren't going to come to it if they're away. So we're thinking of starting big programming starting in September, and going forward with September, and in July and August do things that are low cost to kind of start off the year.
Is anybody advocating for more money for the fiscal budget for us to increase our budget?
Jenna?
Oh, hello again. Yeah, so we did present the budget plans for FY28 in the joint meeting. I'm happy to send those budget plans again to the council for their review, and Jane and I are actually going to be meeting the next several weeks to go over that again, as well as discussing, the potential override and the impacts on the budget if an override were not to pass. So, we're in the tough fiscal time, so asking for more money was something that staff was told to just, tighten up our belt straps and do the best we could with what we have. But certainly we would love to be able to fund more for our seniors moving forward. And Jane and I will be having discussions in the future about that.
Jenna, can I just jump in there if that's okay?
Sure can. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, is that all right with you, Mr. Chairman?
Right in.
Thank you. So my direction to department heads has been, can you guys all hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, I can see you. So my direction to department heads has been to give a level 1 budget. This is town staff, but just for you folks to understand, a level 1 budget is, what the department head says, this is what we need to bring forward to adequately run this department the way that we feel it should be. And that will be part of the basis of how we start to develop our ask for an override. Level 1 budgets probably won't even be the fully funded in an override even, but we're going to be, we're going to look at what the department heads are saying that they need. So, we're going to be looking to increase programming for Elder and Human Services. We're going to be looking at all of those pieces. So if there's something the Council on Aging would like to advocate for, I'm certainly open to it as we go forward in this budget process, because we're doing it really early for FY28. There'll be a financial forum coming up in a couple weeks on the 20th that evening. And that's where the Finance Committee and the Select Board and the school committee get together and start talking about this stuff. So, the Council on Aging is encouraged to let Jenna and Carrie know, or myself, if you have specific kind of number requests that you'd like to see in your budget. And we can start there with that ask. It's not guaranteed. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're trying to kind of build the budget of where do we think we should be if an override were to pass, and then what will happen if one does not. And so those are the kind of scenarios that we're working on right now. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions?
Jerry, I get a question. Jim Reinstein, you mentioned is possibly coming in the, Ted Reinstein rather in the fall. And that comes out of the budget. And we say, yeah, the program, and he's expensive. Is there any possibility or any thought that, getting like a corporate sponsor to underwrite his costs? Where, we've got some new, like Trader Joe's is coming in, and we have some, Home Depot, people that I think could have maybe absorb that cost and for other future speak. Because he's an exception. That's not the annual, the
No.
normal monthly.
Well, I mean, the cost, so from when I started 14 years ago till today, the cost of instructors, I would say has quadrupled. What people want to get, because now this is people's livelihood. Before, people used to come in and run programs here, and it would be a fun thing to do in retirement. They wanted to volunteer their time. They didn't really want to get paid. Now the instructors are using, this is a business for them. This is how they make their money. This is how they're living. Their living is by working the senior center circuits, really.
Yeah, but the instructors also have participants that are funding them.
Right.
Where Mr. Reinstein, I guess, I would say he's the exception, is what
Right.
I'm saying. That's why I don't know, is that not within the town? Not to go out and get
Not,
it can't be, it'd be accepted, in other words, I don't know if it would be a violation of what the.
yeah, I think if the Friends said we would sponsor this event, then the Friends of 60 plus could sponsor something like that. And we would say, okay, here's the invoice. But that can come out of our, that's something that can come out of our programming budget. Because that's pretty much an average, his cost is an average cost of what the presenters are charging.
If you don't mind me asking, is it public, how much does he cost us?
I think it's, the average cost is about $250 to $350 per presenter.
For about,
I believe he is $250, but like the art historian who was here last week was $350, but we applied for and got a grant to pay for that, but the average is about $350.
Thank you.
yeah.
If there were someone in town that wanted to say, well, I'm gonna donate. And I will sponsor this speaker, is that doable?
Sure.
But I think what Tom's question really was, is it proper for elder services to go out and solicit that?
I don't think we can't solicit, right, Jane?
No, the town cannot fundraise that way. That would be something the Friends could do.
Right, Friends.
But if somebody comes with an offer to sponsor it, you can accept that.
We
As a
yes, as a
donation?
gift.
As
Yes,
a
as a gift.
donation.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jim.
People have to know we're accepting it.
Yeah.
They have to know it.
It's in the newsletter.
Donation?
Not to solicit, but like if you want to donate
To the Friends.
to the Friends.
In other words, you could donate to the Friends and say, I want this program.
You know, tell
Huh?
In the newsletter, there's a slip for donations.
Yes, okay.
Every newsletter, provide the Friends a space in the newsletter and it requests donations.
Well, but you also can donate directly here, because the Friends money is the Friends money, so. In terms of wanting things to fund here, you should be letting people know that you have a donation fund as well, so that people can donate here.
People do.
But I don't think, a lot of people don't know.
So,
I can't, can you convince us, say, that somebody might throw one of these programs?
We wrote a grant and we were accepted for a grant.
Where did the grant come from?
The Reading Cultural Council.
So they sponsored Mind Your Meatballs Part 2,
So you had to go out and ask them.
But it was a grant.
a grant.
It's not a corporation.
Anybody have any other questions?
Jerry, one of the, if someone did come forward and give the money, donate a gift, would they be allowed to, use some kind of set to signage, say to take credit publicly, take credit, this,
I think we
Or-
would probably put sponsored by
Yeah.
or donated
Yeah.
by, yeah, like on the flyer, yeah.
thank
Like when residents at Pearl does like an ice cream social for us. And they bring it over for no cost, we put like a little note that they sponsored it for us. Just to give them credit for ice cream.
I just have a curiosity.
Go ahead, Kate.
A curiosity question. How many did you finally end up with for the life finder?
30.
You did get 30.
We did get
so I
30.
knew that's what you wanted, but I didn't know. if
Yeah,
that's what
we
you
got
did.
30,
Oh,
yeah.
great.
Yeah, it was
That's
great.
Wonderful.
Yeah, people signed up like up to the wire.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Rosemary?
Somebody mentioned rentals. What was rented out? Was it this space here? And where was it advertised? What group were you targeting to rent? Get more rentals?
Yeah, so it's on Rec Technologies now. Like the Garden Club just rented the room. Like different agents, different groups within town are renting it and paying for the space. So upstairs, I think is $10 for the smaller rooms and this room's 20. For an hour, per hour.
You say rental, I was thinking outside things coming in maybe for the right shower.
I mean, that can't help but show weekends.
Yeah, people don't know who's open.
It's on the website. It's on Rec Technologies too.
Somehow the word has to get out that it's open for rental. Please contact so and so. If you're interested in renting this space for baby shower, bridal shower.
Marilyn, do you have something new before we move on?
No, it's just reinforcing that, say maybe the newspaper, it means something that goes to local public, maybe public TV, that I don't know what they do for.
What were you talking about?
Yeah, or anything else like it. Posters in the grocery store, you know.
You could even put a flyer here. The people that participate here are the best word of mouth.
Not necessarily
Well, yeah,
the ones who don't
but I would let them know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, let's move on to the item that was supposed to be at 6:55, which is Janet DeVoe and letting us know more about the property tax program.
So we are closing out our first year of the revamped property tax worker program. From 2023 to 2024, we researched other towns to bring our program back up to standards of other towns. At that point, it wasn't a really active program, paying only $8 per hour with a very low income cap. So we moved it up to minimum wage. We had 10 positions available. We had 10 people apply, 10 people got the positions. Unfortunately, we did have 2 who backed out throughout the process due to health reasons. So we have our 8 completing their hours now at the Killam School, the Barrow School, Town Hall, the compost site, and here at Pleasant Street. We just went through the process of accepting applications for the 2026, 2027 year. And we are offering 10 positions again, also at $15 per hour for $1,500 deduction. We've only received 7 applications. But so we will be finishing the interviews. We're going to be doing interviews at the end of this month, and then people will be placed in the positions and their service will be completed from July 1st to the end of May 2027. We did increase the income cap last year significantly to its 500% of the 2025 poverty level, which the income caps were $78,250 for a single individual and $105,750 for a married couple filing jointly. So we are currently placing them, and we yeah, this is the caps for this month coming in. So there was an increase because what we did the previous year was following the 2024. So you take the federal poverty levels 500 times, and that's not every month.
And now we're in discussions with the assessor's office and the town accountant to kind of determine next steps for future years.
We're currently, because the research done to get to this, where we are today was done in 2023-24. So we want to get through successfully, we needed to, the process. We are now redoing all that research and to present to the tech, to Jane and others, in June, what we're finding with other towns.
I think it's an excellent program. I just wish we could expand it.
Yes. And get more up. We did have, each year we have Victor has generously come over every year and he presents with me the options that are available and we work together. We're very lucky he collaborates with us on this. So it's also, we need to keep seeing the interest grow to,
Any questions? Okay.
No questions. I just wanted to say thanks to Janet. I attended the presentation she did, I think it was last month, and for revitalizing this and putting, now there's live links on the website that describes everything with the process and everything, and that's just fabulous, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
She's done a great job.
Yes, thank you.
And yeah, it would be great if you got more applicants and all of
yes,
that,
yes.
but.
I mean, we got a lot of interest and then the follow through, whether,
Oh,
for
yeah.
different various reasons. I mean,
Wants and
wants and
needs.
needs. Not everybody likes the compost jobs. No,
Yeah.
but the schools, our current volunteers found a lot of satisfaction working in the schools. They worked not in the cafeterias helping, not cleaning and not serving food, but helping the students open their milks, or if they had a spill. They also worked in the office, the libraries, and we also had one of our volunteers made all the costumes for the spring pageants. So they're finding, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from all of the managers of our employees that they would like, everyone is continuing and wants more workers.
And even some of the property tax workers have stayed, like here, our property tax worker at the center has stayed on Fridays. 'Cause
Even though
likes it,
she's
even though she's met her hours.
She met her hours, but she's continuing on to be of help.
She loves us so much.
Well, she does a nice job.
Yes.
Okay, so that was it for questions. So Karen, you're up next on the trust fund questions that have been raised.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
We skipped.
well, I thought this was to be addressing, getting information from people in town hall.
I think we did that. I think it was in April's meeting. We broke down the amounts, didn't we?
May I speak, John? Yes, we do. Last meeting, I made the request that we need, first place, there's still some information that's missing. Under the munis reports, we want to spend the trust fund money as it's intended to be spent. The key we need to know is how much do we have? And what we got in the spring was how much annual interest has come in. But I have not yet seen something that makes it clear of that, how much have we spent, which leaves the answer of, yes, we want to give you all the rest. We need to know projects where it would be good. To do that, the easiest thing I think would be to see the munis reports we used to see, and we're getting it on patrons, but on Burbank, for some reason, things are going off into Excel sheets, or they're only showing the recreational expenses and not the other expenses. So, and I know things go in there because in prior years, both accounts were used regularly. And I can see some things that I know we approved that I can't find, so I'm guessing they're in other. We need the kind of report we used to get up front in the munis format, and we need someone to come explain to the entire council. We are charged with the responsibility of deciding how to spend that money. We need to know how much we have and what we can spend. It's about as basic as it can get. And I think and the munis reports are not simple to understand. I think we need someone from accounting or wherever the munis reports comes out of to explain them to us, give everybody a copy. Let's walk through it. Let's make sure that we understand, we've accumulated this much. Because in the last 2 years, we didn't spend much, very little, out of Burbank in particular, but overall, because we decided to rely on ARPA. But ARPA's gone and we want to go back. That's one question, is exactly how much is there and how are they coming up with it? Another question that's been raised is, you can see there's $388 some odd $1,000 sitting in Burbank, just as an example right now. And it was set up with original principal that was only around 225. One could look at that and say, aha, we have over $100,000. But do we? If the way the money's being managed is to maintain the value of the trust, then that money, the principal, has to be going up to keep up with inflation, just to keep a steady state. In which case, some number in the 300s is about right. But I don't know that that's what they're doing. I want to understand their philosophy and to know what we can do without diminishing it, because they've done a wonderful job over 30 years of maintaining that trust fund. And I personally would like to see it grow that way for the next 30 years. We just need someone who really knows this stuff to walk us through, so that every council member really understands what we have, so we can spend it. So that's it.
That seems like that might be a question for the Commissioner of Trust Funds and for the town treasurer.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
The two of them.
Can, perhaps
I don't know.
invite them to speak to one of our.
I agree. It's the two of them, because one is how much is being built and for what purpose, and the other is how much is being spent. But we need the whole picture. And I keep getting bits and pieces, and I appreciate people's attempts, but we're not getting there.
Oh, you were like this, I thought you
I
were.
want you to see Ron.
I wanted you to see one, okay. No, it seems to me there's been a lot of confusion over the years. I've got reports from the treasurer's office that are very different than the one that Jenna is able to bring out. I don't understand why they're different. When you go in and talk to the same person, you get a different report. So I think there is a lot of confusion with this. I think it would be good if you could invite people from the trust fund and the treasurer.
And what was, one of the issues, I think, with summer coming, it might be challenging to get someone to come. You know, we might have to revisit that in the fall, and there's not so many vacations, so I'll ask them definitely when their availability is.
Yeah, explore that.
Yeah.
Anything else? So we're down to future agenda items, a reorganization for the board, and a chair and vice chair. I guess those are the only, I'm sure, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lauren.
John,
Run again.
before we get into that, I just wanted to, I serve on the RCTV Board of Directors, so I've been talking with my staff regarding the tonight's video and audio. We just need a decision made by the council. Do we have permission to blacken out and cut the audio for the offensive part of the recording?
Yeah,
We-
we need an actual vote.
We actually need official statement from the council in writing to, so maybe we should just take a vote on that.
Okay, let's make that
So
motion.
I would move that RCTV can add the footage of tonight's meeting appropriately, blocking out visually and audibly any offensive portions. Does that do it right?
I hope somebody seconds.
Second.
We got 4 seconds, so it's a fourth, I guess, I don't know.
And just to clarify, what we're gonna do is we're gonna black screen the video and we're gonna cut out the audio.
Okay.
And the sounds caption.
Yes.
Okay, so a motion has been made and seconded by Ron.
Yes.
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 Karen,
Yeah.
Marilyn, Dave, Rosemary, and John, yes. Okay, so now we're ready to move on, I guess. Says reorganization of the board chair and vice chair.
So the 1-year term is up.
Yeah, and you know, most councils and boards run on Robert's Rules of Order around here. I think we run on Maryland's Rules of Order, right? And according to Maryland's Rules of Order.
Oh, those came from Jane Burns. Thank you very much.
You can't serve more than 2 terms in a row in the same position, so I'm obviously not gonna be the vice chair next term.
But it doesn't say that. It says you can't do it unless there's no one else running.
I guess I didn't read Maryland's rules of order.
Well, if you'd stop calling them Maryland's Rules of Order, you might be able to read. It's in the further materials, it comes up.
So we'll be revisiting that probably
Yes,
in August, like the vote in August, not,
I
because
think.
July's meeting is
I think we have to talk about it in June.
June. Okay,
It's in June we need to do.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to do it
Yeah,
in
that's
June.
when it changed.
Next week.
So I'll entertain a
End
motion.
of the
for
I
that.
fiscal
think
year.
the things actually say.
Later scheduled.
We're not needing.
Does anybody want to?
Yes.
Okay.
We're running ahead.
I have two items I'd like to request on a future agenda.
Go ahead, please.
I'd like an update from either the chair or town staff on the survey that she requested, whether, if they've been working on that, what progress is going on. And I'd like to request an update from the working group on their progress in responding to the feedback that the council has given them in several documents.
You would take a note on that, Karen?
yeah,
Thank you.
Just a quick question, Mr. Chairman, can I speak?
Has it been,
Kate, about the survey, I thought that the Council on Aging was coming up with the survey questions that you guys wanted to
The
see.
chair asked the town staff, or said she would work with the town staff to.
Oh, okay. I think I didn't get that, so I can circle in with Karen on that, definitely.
yeah, we'll speak with Karen.
Yeah.
This time you really have together.
yeah, this time I do. Is there definitely not going to be a July meeting when we have so many items, questions that need to be addressed? Why are we not having a July meeting?
That information came down from Elder Services.
Yeah, we just due to staffing and conducting the meeting with staff and vacations. We
I
decided
thought,
to take a break and have it in August.
I
June and
didn't
August.
think staff had to be present with a council
Is there a
meeting.
requirement that staff?
No.
be present
What I
for the
was told
council
was,
to meet?
yes, because of the Zoom.
Someone else can run Zoom.
And I don't know that Zoom is required.
Yeah, and Zoom isn't required.
There are committees.
Jenny, you're the one who told me that. Would you address that?
Yes, so the staff will need to be here to facilitate the Zoom, as you can see tonight when we run into these issues, and there's a lot of tech things that are quite difficult for people to learn. But certainly you can host a meeting in person without the Zoom option if you would like. And typically all boards in the summer do take a month off in the summer. Typically it is July. I know the rec committee does that too. But certainly if there's flexibility with some dates in July, maybe it could be coordinated with staff, but it's pretty typical to not have a meeting in the summer with all the vacations of the board and of staff.
Suggest we address that again in June. That's a good idea. Now, I did hear a motion to adjourn, but I never heard a second. All in favor, Ron?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me think about it.
You can't take that as undecided. Yes. You're adjourned at whatever time it is.
That's all right.